this is not the Miami-Dade International Airport. That is the last time that I am ever taking Delta Airlines. Ah. Ugh. The squirrel has discovered the carrots and the apples. Get out of here, buddy. You're eating the apples. Get out of here. Dude, the brazenness of this squirrel. Get out of here, buddy. What are you doing?
I am James ALOFS. I left the big city to build an off-grid homestead on 40 acres of Canadian wilderness. This area of Ontario has giant ridgelines, deep valleys, and pure rivers. Black bears, gray wolves, mountain lions, moose, and many forest spirits share the land. I started in November 2023. Starting with a modest 12 by 16 foot guest cabin, my goal is to build such a glorious homestead that I attract a magnificent wife, have several military-grade babies, and raise our Swiss mountain dog, Clovis. Welcome to Wild Homestead.
Guys, I just checked due south. I just opened up the compass app on my iPhone. It's off in that direction. I always thought that was due south, but I mean, that's how kind of the landscape and the opening, the trees is oriented, and the, the hilltop to the south, etc. But that's due south. In my research, there's quite a few demos on the old YouTube showing about how to do like rotating solar panel arrays, manually. The electronic ones, I don't think it's necessary for the guest house, maybe for the main house, but really the optimal orientation of your solar panels is just due south. If you're going to orient one, say, slightly to the east and slightly to the west, nothing is as good. Nothing will maximize your whatever kilowatt hours per hour of day. I don't know what the metric is. It's just both having them all face due south. So that's what we're going to roll with. I actually bought 2 boat seat swivels, but I don't know. We still have time to decide on this, but I'm like, is it really? I mean, every morning, you could manually rotate it 3 times a day, like morning, mid, noon, and then, late afternoon. But I think just set it at due south, man. I better check the hunting regs to see if squirrels are illegal. This guy's just, I think he's like high. I think this guy's like getting the Pablo Escobar Apple experience, just absolutely high on fructose. Hey, get out of here. Get out of here. Concrete.com / oh yeah. Oh, nice. Nice consistency. Sweet, 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 sweet. Oh, yeah, baby. Oh, yeah. Real nice. Real nice. No. We're looking for the end that has the engineer's knot. Because that one is easily, you guys see that? It just kind of twirls down on itself and it's super easy to release. Boom! Holy cow, man. Look, because in the end, a lot of these holes ended up being bigger than the sonotubes, you know, because I had to dig them bigger to center the tubes. But look, we're gonna end up using a lot more concrete than I thought. I mean, I guess it's a good thing for stability, because this is like a giant, I guess they call it like elephant foot, right? But the elephant foot is 2 feet deep or more. But I think it's fine. It's gonna take more time, but it will be structurally more sound. I think one thing, you know, if you want the elephant foot to be, say, 12 inches deep, you know, this is like basically a 4 foot deep hole with a foot above, so it's like 5 feet. Just, you know, use a full 4 foot sonotube. And then you got 12 inches at the bottom, that's the elephant foot. That's probably sufficient. We have a well. No more running to the community spring, at least for this kind of water. Whoa, water is heavy, water is heavy. Oh yeah, dude, our own water. Oh, what do we have here? What do we have here? Oh, yes. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Sure enough.
Guten Morgen, mein Lieber. Is it mine or meine? I don't know. Fun fact, I actually took German classes for about a month because I was dating a German girl at the time. This is in university. And she was an exchange student. She moved back to Germany. We kept dating for like 6 months and I would go visit her. She lived north of Hamburg on an island called Sylt, S-Y-L-T. So anyways,
I took German for about a month, and then we ended up breaking up. So I was like, well, I ain't doing this anymore. Anyways, headed into town. So I left Clovis in the cabin. I usually always take him with me. The quandary is this. I have a Toyota Tundra. Its max payload is 1,900 pounds. 24 bags of 66-pound concrete weighs 1,600 pounds. So that leaves 300 additional pounds of payload the truck can take safely. I weigh 200 pounds. Clovis weighs 120 pounds. That's another 320 pounds. So right there, with 24 bags of concrete, plus Clovis and me, we're above the payload of this vehicle by 20 pounds. So I ideally need to be able to haul 28 bags to do 3 columns at a time. So to do that, you know, that's an extra basically 240 pounds. So I had to leave Clovis because we need the extra capacity in the truck. Oh boy, folks. Oh boy. So my secret guest was, or is, my mother, the Wild Homestead mother, Martha. Unfortunately, we were at dinner last night in town, And literally in the restaurant, she started feeling ill. So I brought her back. I checked her in, to stay at a hotel. She just starts getting like violently ill. She was exploding at both ends, for lack of a better term. And I'm pretty sure it's food poisoning. She was up all night. I just drove into town, brought her supplies from the supermarket. So she's feeling a little bit better this morning, but still queasy. She's not going to be visiting today, which was the plan. So I got to keep her supplied while she's recovering. And then also today, got to get the rest of the concrete columns poured. It's 5 degrees Celsius, which is right at the bottom of the range where concrete can still cure. And last night it was about +4, so that's good. Today is going to be a high of 6. Tomorrow night at sunset, temperatures are going to plummet, and we're going to get our first big snowstorm of the year, apparently. So it's a rush to get all these things done and tarped up and heated. So we got to do 6 more columns. Day 1 on Sunday, we did 3. Monday, we did 5. We got to do 6 today. So folks, just a note about the structure. We ended up going 26 feet deep and 20 feet wide. So the main barn is going to be between these 2 rows of 5 columns. And this is going to be for the tractor. So there's a 12-foot opening, which should be more than enough to get the tractor in there, because the tractor is only about 6 feet wide. It's going to be a 10-foot tall. Then we're going to have a 45-degree 12-12 pitch roof. And then this over here, there's 8 feet out to this row, and this is going to be a lean-to off of the side. And I spaced these with only 4 columns, because these columns roughly have 6 feet between one another. These columns have almost 9. And this is to put the implements, the tractor implements, anything else. I have never told you guys about a piece of history from my home province of Ontario, and I think I ought to tell you about the wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald. Now, this shipwreck may be the most famous and important shipwreck in North American history, maybe. A famous rock ballad, The Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald, was written by Gordon Lightfoot in 1976. You may have heard this song. Go listen to it. It's an epic, right up there with like Led Zeppelin's Stairway to Heaven, I would say. Very famous song, but the wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald occurred on Lake Superior back in 1975. And the Edmund Fitzgerald was not just any ship. It was the biggest ship ever constructed for the Great Lakes. It was 730 feet long. It was 75 feet wide, and it was primarily used to haul iron ore for steel production. So oftentimes it'd be taking iron ore from Wisconsin or Minnesota, especially down frequently to Detroit, to be made into steel for Ford, GM, Chrysler down there. And, you know, it was famous for being the biggest ship ever constructed, but also it had a string of very interesting captains, the last of which was a fellow named Ernest McSorley. And McSorley, apparently, whenever he was going through little ports, the little, like, for example, the Detroit River that links Lake St. Clair, you know, down to Lake Erie, he would use the ship's intercom to communicate, to blast music to onlookers on the shoreline, to
apparently communicate with folks, maybe crack jokes with folks on the shoreline. Not something that was usual. People would, when they saw the Edmund Fitzgerald go through places like the St. Mary's River that connects Lake Superior and Lake Huron, or the Detroit River, would see the Edmund Fitzgerald and they would be excited because it's a famous ship for many reasons. The Edmund Fitzgerald was making a dangerous voyage. Like, the Great Lakes are enormous lakes. Lake Superior is the biggest freshwater lake in the world. Manitoulin Island on Lake Huron is the biggest freshwater island in the world. And when storms hit these lakes, they get gnarly. They're basically like inland oceans. So traveling November, which we are in the month of November, is some of the gnarliest weather that you can come across in the Great Lakes. Very dangerous. And the Edmund Fitzgerald was making a voyage from Wisconsin, full of iron ore, destined for Detroit. And it got in trouble not far from the St. Mary's River that connects Lake Superior and Lake Huron. They made radio contact with the shore, saying, I think they were maybe like 7 miles out from the St. Mary's River, Whitefish Bay, it's known as the entrance to the St. Mary's River. And all of a sudden, a few minutes later, they completely lost contact. McSorley, his last message was, we battened down the hatches, essentially. Stuff is getting rough, but I think we're going to be okay. And they were never heard from again. They eventually found the wreck of the ship in 500 feet of water, 7 miles from Whitefish Bay. And the ship, bizarrely enough, was split right in half. And what they think happened was, on that day, there were waves that were 30 to 35 feet tall on Lake Superior, right? That's like 10 to 12 meters tall. You're talking about like open ocean size waves. They think that the ship got stuck right between two giant waves, and it literally just snapped. It collapsed in half and sank immediately. None of the 29 crew members, including Captain McSorley, got off the ship. They were all brought to their graves in Davy Jones' locker. And that was the wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald. It was a shock in North American news to have the biggest ship ever constructed go down. It was literally like a Titanic-like, situation. But it was a big enough of an interesting enough of a story. It was it's turned into the famous rock ballad, "The Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald." Oh, my Rancho Cucamonga. Ladies and gents, I just did the math and we put 110 bags of concrete, Quikrete 5000 into this. Wow. Talk about, that is truly a Herculean effort. Just 3 days of just absolute slogging, like round trips into town and figuring out the optimal, getting how to get the water and mixing and everything. But we made it happen. And there's going to be a giant snowstorm tomorrow night, apparently. So just in the nick of time, it's 6 degrees Celsius, which means the concrete, even at this temperature, is curing, albeit very slowly, from my understanding of the Quikrete website. But just to make sure, we're going to go into town. We're going to get an insulated tarp for this row of columns. And then we've already got 5 heated blankets. The heated blankets are on sale for $20 a pop at Walmart right now. We're going to go get another 5 here and another 4 there. We've invested $1,400 into the concrete, unlimited amounts of time and labor to buy an extra, whatever it is, $150, $200 worth of heated blankets and run them off of the generator through the night. It's totally worth it to make sure as like an insurance policy.
Nice. Nice. Looking good, guys. Oh, yeah. Okay, we got the motherly unit here. She survived the food poisoning incident. How are you feeling now?
I am much better. I am recovered, thank goodness.
What do you think? Like, what is it? Because you and I came out here in September, just after I had bought the property.
Right, and there was like nothing here. There was like, we just were walking through the trees.
Literally where the road is right now, this is where we walked in, you know, the first time. It's just the path of least resistance,
Yeah.
you know, that we ended up opening up, so. Lost him. He got in there, I just couldn't find him.
No.
Yeah, I didn't see him fly off. Did you see him fly off?
No.
Thank you. I know it's a little bit. It's definitely messy in here, but we haven't put any shelves up yet. I'm just waiting because I don't know where all the stuff is going to go yet. You know what I mean? Before putting up shelves.
Yeah, but you know what? You can build a couple of shelves that are just movable, so that at least you can just get the stuff up off the ground and get stuff up off your table too.
Yep. See, this is where we stood in that September.
Yeah.
But it was just, there was obviously bushes everywhere.
Yeah.
But you can see the river.
This is where we saw the bear scat. I was getting a little afraid because we didn't have any bear spray that day.
That's right.
Huh. Is there usually water in behind there like that?
Yep.
All the time?
Yes. It's Oxbow Lake. Looks steeper.
It is like, this is like almost straight down. I can't believe you went down there with all those pieces of wood on your shoulder and
I know.
didn't kill yourself.
And 40 bags of concrete.
This is, again, this is just beautiful woodworking. It looks all like these Scandinavian ones I've been following on Instagram, you know, with the big chunky wood.
Right.
Really nice.
Well, I think this is definitely a better spot.
Oh yeah.
Because it's
with the water like that, and you just walk out and get in the.
It used to be really high all along there, and it just got blown out.
Wow. Oh, this is a really nice size.
Yeah. And you see, it's gonna be all glass.
On the front here.
Yeah. Goes into here. Oh shit, is it? I don't know. Okay.
You have to screw it on too.
No,
It
it's just
pops on.
it pops on.
Okay. That into there.
Okay, so I'm gonna back it up, and you gotta holler at me when you see it.
When I see what?
That it's lined up.
Okay.
No, they will be. The most important thing is the bottom one first. There we go.
That's finicky.
Does this remind? Did you ever drive Grandpa's tractor?
A couple times. There was a lot of material. There was like 2 1960 Ford.
Nice. What do you think?
That was really fun. It's, you know, bumpy at time, but it's really like sturdy. Like you really feel safe, and I don't feel like I'm going too fast. The way you can control the pedal there.
Yeah.
You know, and you take your foot off when you stop.
You were a camp counselor when you were a kid. You have a lot more backcountry kind of camping experience than me. I only started doing that late in life, but you did like multiple 2-3 week trips in like central and northern Ontario.
I started going to camp when I was about 8 or 9, and then I was eventually a counselor at the place. So I was there for a trip for girls that go on when you're about 14, and it was 2.5 weeks. And we had 2 male trippers and a female lead, and I think there were 7 of us in canoes, and we went from Gogama to Smooth Rock Falls. And it was, they took us in, dropped us off, and then they dropped us food part way. But it was just spectacular. So that was a few years ago. That was like 50 years ago. So it was pretty amazing. We didn't see anybody until we got into Timmins. We went through the river in Timmins, and we actually got off at the golf course and went in and used their showers.
Boy, good boy. Oh, yeah. Winter is coming, Clovis. Winter is coming. Yes. Oh, dinner time. Go. Okay. It's so warm under here. It's so much warmer than outside. It's about +1 right now. That's max. So these will run for 4 hours. But even without these things on, man, it's just warm under here. It's just the ground is so warm still. Okay. Talk about in the nick of time, folks. Do you know if we had waited one more week to do this tractor barn foundation, this would be an absolute nightmare. It's about -3 right now, pouring the concrete in this kind of weather. Oh my goodness, it reminds me, this is basically what we got stuck in last year, right? When we were pouring concrete into the first week of December. But anyways, folks, we got her done. This is gonna be the last day we're gonna run the heated blankets. It's really warm underneath there. Again, I remember last year we ran into a fellow at the hardware store when we were pouring our concrete for the forest gym, and the guy had a control box for his Christmas lights, and he had just checked it that morning. This was the first week of December. And he said that the temperature, I think about 6 inches down in the ground inside of this control box, it was, I believe, like about 58 degrees Fahrenheit, which is around maybe 12 degrees Celsius. And from what we know, Clovis, what are you doing, buddy? What we know about the Quikrete product here on their website, you know, Quikrete, the normal kind of curing range goes down to 10 degrees Celsius, which is 50 degrees Fahrenheit. So with these double insulated tarps and those heating pads, those heating blankets, for sure, like that topsoil covered insulated is going to be close to 60 degrees. So it should be well within the range of normal drying. For the brackets, we're going to be using 8x8 posts for the tractor barn, at least for the vertical posts. And the brackets that I got are to be put in after. So we've got stainless steel galvanized brackets that are to code for Ontario. They've got a 1-inch set off of the concrete, so the bottom of the posts stay dry. And we're using stainless steel fasteners, these Titan XD bolts. Screw bolts. So I'm pretty excited to use those. It's the first time using them. But we've got to get these things on probably next week once this is fully cured, because once the snow gets too deep, we won't be able to use our string lines, because we still have to use the string lines to line up the brackets that we're putting on top of all these columns. I realized as I was looking at this, I was about to fasten, our beams back together here with lag bolts, screw thingamajiggers. And I realized a mistake that I made while setting this up. I aligned this bathroom addition foundation to the bottom logs and squared it up off of that. And I realized, when we were doing the covered porch addition at the front of the cabin, we had to align it off of the eaves beams because that's where the roof is based off of, right? And we've leveled off the roof with these top plates there. And that's really the critical thing in terms of extending it, because we should really extend it and square it off of where the roof is. So we need to adjust this. So I've just done the measurements with these plumb bobs. We need to move this sill beam in 3 inches, and the one on the other side, we need to move in 2¼ inches. Because as I was building the walls up, right, they got slightly narrower as we went up. So the top is about 3 inches in from the bottom. So we corrected for that on the roof, but we need to correct for this. And I honestly think it's a good situation because I think we can make the foundation much sturdier. Look at this, folks. We got some genuine pine tar. What is this? Is this Danish? Swedish? Kungsbacka, Sweden. Interesting. So this stuff is a natural preservative, wood preservative, this pine tar. And apparently the best thing to do is to mix it 50-50. We've used this stuff before with linseed oil, raw linseed oil. Hello, buddy. This kind of acts as a diluter because the pine tar apparently is very, very thick. Hey. What are you doing? What are you doing, man? Okay, folks, so what we're learning from this line, you see the line is level over here. The cabin is slightly north to south off timber. As we were building it, we had insufficient. We just had a little bit, remember way back to the beginning, we just had a little pile of gravel under each one of our concrete pier pads that the cabin sits on. And the pads that were most precarious were on the south side. So this whole side kind of sank down as we were building. Just over an inch difference. It looks like it's more, but there's an inch difference to make it level. So if we raise this up by an inch, I think I'm just going to put, well, we'll have to figure it out next week, but put something to raise this up, and then we can build the foundation off of this beam. We can also secure this beam into the sill log, the bottom log on the cabin. And this way also the floor can be at the exact same level as the floor inside the cabin. So there's another thing I want to do though, is that this beam is exactly basically the distance between our two roof eaves beams, right? So it's the perfect length, but I actually want this beam to stick out to the end of the pad. So the pressure, there's going to be a huge amount of pressure on this log. I want it to go all the way to the end of each concrete pad. So we're going to need to get a 14-footer. Winter is not coming, folks. Winter is here. It's going to be below freezing for the next 10 days in the forecast. So I think she's here, man. We just got that tractor barn finished by the hairs on our chinny chin chin in the nick of time, and it's turning out really well. We got the blankets running. Still, we'll keep them running through the night and probably tomorrow while I'm editing as well. I think after the sauna, get those sauna walls up and get the stove into the sauna, and then we're going to come right to the bathroom addition because I'm just jonesing to get this thing functioning, man. So we're going to do that before the tractor barn, but I think the tractor barn is now in good hands. The fight continues, folks. It's supposed to be snowing every day next week, so we'll see how we deal with it. We see how the tractor is in clearing snow. But thanks for watching. Strength and honor to you all. May the gods bless you, both the old gods and the new. And remember, folks, if you're in the hardware store buying concrete bags with your wife probably weighs at least 120 pounds. 120 pounds is 2 extra bags of concrete you could be carrying in your truck. So, do the only logical thing. Tell your wife that she's walking home, but try to calm her down by uttering the following 7 words and 13 soothing syllables. Ooga, booga.